You heard us talking about the debacle between France Telecom and Telkom Kenya. But moving out of that market, it seems to be a story that's having resonance across the continent, as many fixed-line operators seem to be fighting for survival in a wireless world.
Good morning. Thanks. It's not predominant across Africa. There are fixed-line operators are quite successful, and I think South Africa is an example of one of those markets. But it's a situation where fixed-line operators are finding it difficult to compete in a market where the voice certainly market and basic data market is beginning to be dominated. In some cases, has been dominated for a while by mobile operators. Now that means the fixed-line operators have to find something to do for themselves, something that will generate revenue and see them move into the future. Now, if they are an ongoing concern, operationally sound, so let's say Telkom Kenya and Nitel Nigeria apart, as an example, then there are a number of areas where they still actually are and can be dominant or show strong performance. And this is corporate data services. This is provision of data managed network services. This is increasingly moving into maybe more advanced markets, into some sort of a triple play, and also broadband for small, even large businesses and consumers on the fixed line side, because the fixed line network is superior to a wireline network, wireless network. Sorry.
All right, let's talk about the situation here in South Africa, where Telkom, which has been the dominant player in the telecom space for the longest time, offloaded its shares of Vodacom. So it's sitting cash flush, but at the moment doesn't seem to have a strategy as where next to go. Do they move into data services? How do they leverage this extensive infrastructure, fiber optic infrastructure that they have within a new sort of a commercial venture? What can they do?
They actually, I would suspect they do have a strategy. It's just slow in coming and it's not maybe very visible to everyone, but certainly have a strategy, and that strategy entails a number of options that they will pursue and are likely to pursue. And that's on the fixed line side, that's certainly moving into more intense data services, more sophisticated data services for the business market segment. That's moving into the wholesale market, which is becoming very important. So if you're an infrastructure player and you have an extensive fiber optic network, you can be a very good operator based on the wholesale services that you provide to other service providers. And then also, thirdly, they are looking at the mobile market again. So both wireless data, which they already started providing, and then also into full mobility.
Do wireless operators really need to partner with a fixed line operator, as we saw Vodacom when they initially entered into the market, in terms of needing that infrastructure support to launch their products?
Wireless in the sense of mobile,
yes,
as
mobile
opposed to fixed wireless.
Yes.
They don't have to partner per se if they move into a market purely on a mobile basis, but they do rely extensively on fixed line infrastructure to provide what's called a backbone, which is or the backhaul network, which actually transmits the traffic they generate from subscribers, from users, onto a transmission network that takes it to what's called switching centers and places it onto other networks or internationally, depending where the traffic goes. And that's both voice and data traffic.
Okay, this takes us into the Nigerian situation, where we've seen the very controversial and even botched sale of Nitel, many attempts to privatize the Nigerian fixed line operators. Some people would argue that since independence, not enough was done in terms of building the infrastructure, and there isn't much of Nitel for anybody to buy, really. And we see this wireless and mobile revolution in Nigeria. Is there any benefit in trying to acquire Nitel for anybody?
Well, Nitel still has certain assets. It was probably grossly overpaid by the last consortium that made a bid and an attempt to buy it. And probably the greatest asset is the SET3 landing point, which is the international cable that connects Nigeria to the rest of the world. But it's decreasing in value because of two additional cables, Glow 1 and Main 1, that's now also landed in Nigeria. Apart from that, it still has transmission network infrastructure, fiber optic infrastructure and microwave in the country, and some parts of it are in good state or can be revived with probably relative little expense. There is certainly a case for the wholesale services, and possibly to an extent for some data services in the corporate market.
All right, we also know that Zamtel was up for sale recently, and there the issue was that unions and lobbyists felt that the government should retain a bigger stake and more local entrants should come into that space. So something that they're doing right within the fixed line operator. Tell us about the more successful operators and what lessons can be learned.
Well, I think the more successful operators are operators that have successfully, as you said, commercialized and then privatized at least part of the operations. They have also normally coupled that with a mobile license. So an operator comes in, a new operator comes in, and which acquired part of the shareholding, and will operate both a fixed and a mobile network. The mobile network allows for fairly quick cash gains if they can expand into the market relatively quickly, and that again depends on the market situation. Whereas the fixed line market provides more of a medium to long-term strategy that they can pursue.
Any opinions on this?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the shifting sands of an industry here, okay? And you're seeing, you know, if you go back 30, 40 years, you know, fixed line operators was the order of the day. You know, in countries up in Africa, voice is the major driver for profitability, and that's why the cellular operators do so fantastically well up there. You're going to find probably that the net asset value that you're paying for these fixed line operators gets shifted out all the time, or get shifted down all the time, predominantly because of the wholesale services that Dobek spoke about just now. You know, and where you're just canning vast networks of, you know, of old copper wiring and everything, which has just become, you know, completely obsolete. It's interesting, though, to note that many of these fixed line operators took the gamble to start a mobile operator and then decided down the line to sell the family jewels, okay, the thing that now generates the income and has now become cash flush, but now sitting in a situation where they just don't know what to do with the capital.